Yes, good morning and welcome. You're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and it's that time when you take a look at the headlines this morning. And I'm here with my panelists, Senator Bonny Khalwale from Kakamega County on my immediate right. Next to him, we have Senator Kimani Wamatangi from Kiambu County. On my left, Senator Hassan Omar, Senator of Mombasa County, and Muthomi Njuki, Member of Parliament from Chuka, Igambang'ombe. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. It was in the same school with me.
Yes.
No.
Which school is this?
We are the Laibons, the Maasai warriors. Okay. So we went to a school called Lenana.
Okay.
Forest.
Okay. Oh, the school inside the forest. Okay. Some of us went to schools in places where there were no trees. Anyway, let's take a look at the headlines this morning. And the Daily Nation has this one: rogue counties risk missing out on budget cash. Auditor General tells MPs to punish devolved governments and ministries that fail to account for the money allocated to them. Also on the front page of the Daily Nation, we have a bodyguard robs Deputy Governor of 3.5 million shillings. That's Deputy Governor for Meru County, Eliud Murithi Mate. That's your Deputy Governor.
That's not Meru County.
That's
my Deputy Governor.
Tarakaniti County.
He just lives in Meru Town.
Okay.
Why is he working with 3.5 million?
We'll be discussing that in a short while. Yes, on the standard, new details of how KCSE, KCPE will be conducted. Also a very interesting story about on education and exams is what is happening in Siaya County, and the county governor Conor Rasanga's image on the examination papers.
I told Bonny yesterday he walked out of where I was in disgust.
Yeah. We'll be looking at that in a short while. On the front page of the Standard, MPs are furious despite getting 80 million shillings in CDF. Of course, the amount was reduced, and we have a member of Parliament of the National Assembly who will be explaining to us why they're not so happy. And on the Star, Ruto blamed for job losses of Kalenjins. Actually, more members of the community have gotten jobs than those who have lost their positions, but about 8...
For Parliament, is it?
According to this survey, more members of the community have gotten jobs.
Yes.
Than those who have lost their positions. But still the Deputy President is being blamed for a number of people who lost their jobs, including Davis Chirchir, Gladys Bose Cholet, Philip Tunoi, David Kimayo. We'll be looking at that in a short while. But now today, the biggest story is that the Chief Justice nominee David Maraga is appearing before the National Assembly's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. And even before this vetting by Parliament starts, we're already seeing petitions against the nomination of Justice Maraga, and the concern is this going to delay the process? Because now we know what it means. The selection panel for the IEBC is in place. They're waiting for to be sworn in first, and it's only the Chief Justice who can do this. And let's start with you, Bwana Muthomi Njuki, because we know the matters which have been raised. It has to do with some of the judgments Justice Maraga made while in Eldoret. Yeah?
I think it was going to be very exceptional for him not to get any petitions anyway. They happen all the time. But a petition does not mean that we're going to have any delay as per se, because the petition is supposed to be handled by the committee even way before they vet the Chief Justice. Yes. I expect by now the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee must have listened to the credibility of this petition. Then, of course, using that evidence, now they have to question the nominee, and based on their judgments, then they will know the way forward after that.
Yes.
Otherwise, it was a credible petition. Either way, it was going to delay the process. Not just because it has come at maybe the wrong time. If it's credible, of course, obviously, there's no way they can let him off the hook. But we don't expect it to delay the process.
What about the issue, the fact that there are some members of the National Assembly who are actually not happy with this nominee because they come from that particular region, and they say that one matter he handled that concerned a former member of Parliament, and they're not happy with it. Could that pose a problem?
That would be trivial if you were to bring those types of arguments, because he handled the matter against a certain former member of Parliament and gave an adverse judgment against him. Is trivial. For me, I'll be honest, I would not see any grounds or circumstances upon which National Assembly will reject the nomination unless it's of Justice Maraga, unless it's on political grounds. Because I want to believe that diligence that was required must have been done at the JSE level. The JSE scrutinizes with more diligence. Parliamentary approval sometimes allows greater participation of the public in terms of speaking to the nominee, because we are now speaking to that through the voice of popular suffrage, or the sovereignty that is expressed through Parliament of the people of Kenya. So I see nothing wrong when people bring petitions. A lot of appointments before have had petitions. Some have had merit, some have not had any merit. The ones I have seen, I do not want to anticipate debate in their house, because it's one of the things that binds us. But if I was sitting in that committee, I will not, unless there's something of such a fundamental nature that punches such severe holes into his integrity and professional standing. I think in terms of integrity tests, particularly for a person who's been on that bench for that type of time, I think he does extremely well in my own assessment of things. So I don't see any particular, fear about his, but it will be nice to listen to the petitioner. It will be nice to summon him to listen to what he has to say, so that you fully mitigate the issues and conclude them conclusively.
Yes, Senator Khalwale, incidentally, just for the understanding of the members of the public, does the Senate have any role to play in this process? Like today,
we don't have any role. The Constitution is very clear. That is a function left for the National Assembly. But more importantly, I'm afraid the professionals who come from the Kalenjin community must be seriously embarrassed by the conduct of the political leaders from that community, for the reason that they seem to be advancing the possibility that they should have had one of their own professionals land this job. I remember at the height of the Justice Tunoi saga, there were loud voices from the same people that they were trying to be blocked from one of their own becoming the Chief Justice of this country. Let's go to the matter in question, the case that Justice Maraga handled when the former Member of Parliament of Ainapugoi died. If I remember well, the guy who killed the MP was sentenced to 10 years. I mean, what more do they want Justice Maraga to do? He punished that guy in accordance with the minimum, or probably max, I think it's minimum, sentence that is prescribed for that particular offense. And if really they were genuine, they could have challenged that ruling by Justice Maraga at that time. Finally, coming to the issue of the petitions before the committee, I want to welcome as many Kenyans as possible to send commissions. This is the time. There's no way the parliamentary committee can do proper vetting unless members of the public bring issues that might not be on the fore. So when petitions come, then the committee is better prepared to vet a candidate. It doesn't mean, therefore, that it delay the process. Even if the petitions were 1,000, the timelines would still be observed. I have just come from a process of sitting on a committee, joint committee on IEBC. Because of the volume of work we had, we were forced to work many times beyond 2 a.m. in the morning.
So, like, for example, how long should this process take before we actually done and you send it back to the president for appointment?
Can I just flag one thing? There's no vacuum, by the way, in the judiciary. There is an acting Chief Justice, Justice Mohammed Ibrahim. So even if those nominees were to go to the Supreme Court right now, they will still be sworn in, even if Justice Maraga has not been sworn in.
Well, I think to begin with, on this question of petitions, we need to say to our people, whoever you bring, even if it was not Maraga, any Kenyan who would have gone there, we are not going to get an angel, wherever we get them from. Everybody who comes there will and might have issues. And I saw in one of the press releases somebody claiming that he handled a matter in which his lover was killed. And I was remembering when Dr. Njoroge was being vetted. Remember the CBK governor. And there was a petition, and he was even being castigated for not having any property of any value. He was being asked, why don't you have a house here? Why don't you have a big car? Those kind of things. And so I think Justice Maraga will pass the test. For as much as I know, I think he's a man of integrity. We should let him now get on his job and deliver on what's pending. I think also on the other hand that Parliament has got a big job on its hands right now, especially the National Assembly, to expedite this without entertaining too much trivialities or too much shenanigans around the process. Because definitely you expect that even if it was your name to be taken there today, somebody from your village, somebody whom you went to school with, somebody who may have maybe a girlfriend who may have wanted you and you got married. I mean, anybody can bring anything. Yes. And so there is no way that one will pass there without...
But strictly speaking, now that the Center for Kiambu has brought it up, in fact, the issue of Dr. Njoroge, Governor of Central Bank, is part of the problem because Governor Njoroge was not vetted. According to the Central Bank of Kenya Act, he was not supposed to be vetted by the National Assembly. He was supposed to be vetted by Parliament, which means the vetting that went on in the National Assembly should also have found concurrence from the Senate. They didn't do this because they were not sufficiently confident that since they wanted a governor from a particular ethnic community, they were not too sure.
Can that be challenged in court?
Oh yes, it can be challenged, but we, at that time when it started coming up, a lot of things have happened since.
Anyway, I want to just say something about I know I'm critical about many of the Uhuru Kenyatta Ruto appointments, but I think on the Patrick Njoroge one they got it right. I just think the man exudes a certain level of integrity and professionalism that this country badly is in need of. And then the fact that a central bank governor who's not greedy, a central bank governor who has learned the art of self-sacrifice, he lives in a hostel, he contributes his money to a hostel, he does well with the bare minimum. The fact that he was not married and does not own property was a religious doctrine. I think for me that in itself shows that on that one I think we got it right, because he has won several accolades globally and in the region. So I just wanted to make that right. There could have been that omission by law. Deliberate. But I don't think there will have been any...
No one can bring it up.
Actually, but anyway, I want us to move back to the ideal position, Fred, is you know, and when the time comes that we need to amend our constitution, one of the amendments that needs to come in correctly is to ensure that all processes of vetting go through Parliament, both houses, including this one. They should have gone through the National Assembly. That is the way it should be in law, because especially vetting for positions like the CJ, as much as Senator Khalwale has cited that one of the central bank governor. I mean, those are positions of absolute importance to
I will be objectionable to that. I will be objectionable to any appointee being subjected to two houses. We just, I think, the practice of constitutions is that state officers of that nature, of caliber of CJ, and those types of state functionaries are vetted by the Senate. So we need to see which we have this bill, or Kenya bill. We have that concurrence as we were doing our own proposal for amendment. Is that there are certain those things that relate to national government, CSs and principal secretaries. They are vetted by the National Assembly. State officers, chief justices, IGs, people who are not necessarily executive functionaries, then you put them.
Let me put a bit of clarity, Muthomi, to what Senator Omari has said. You see, when a president is appointed, he's supposed to run his government in the manner he wants. So if you are to subject all public appointments to vetting by both houses, it would be cumbersome for the president. You should allow him for things like permanent secretaries and, you know, principal secretaries, cabinet secretaries, they be vetted by the National Assembly. However, to my mind, appointments into offices of officers who enjoy security of tenure, enjoy security of tenure under the Constitution, should be more rigorous. It should go to the Senate. I am talking therefore about people like the Inspector General, the Chief Justice, the Auditor General, the Controller of Budget,
state officers,
people who enjoy security of tenure under the Constitution, should not make it easy for a president who might have tyranny of numbers in the National Assembly to get them through. But for purposes of running his government, allow him to get his ministers quickly appointed.
Allow Njuki, because now it is only up to the National Assembly and the process starts this morning. How long does it take? Is it possible to for him to appear before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in the morning, and in the afternoon you present his name to the House, and the name is forwarded to the President?
Well, yes, there's a possibility, because of course it depends on what the volume of questions that are there for the members to put across to this nominee. Definitely there's only the duration of time within which it should be done. But it does not mean that it cannot be done within the hour. Obviously, you cannot be able to cook circumstances that will make it hard for him if they're not there. So dealing with the issue of the petition, dealing with the issue of his own, what he has to answer to the committee, and what makes him feel that he's qualified for the job. Of course, he has gone through the Judicial Service Commission and all that. But it is possible. It can be done in the morning, in the afternoon is through, and definitely it can be appointed. However, I want to mention what my friends have said about this nomination, and I want to agree with Dr. Bonny. One of the reasons why we are bicameral house is because we are supposed to share these duties. There's no need of reinventing the wheel. That you deal with the situation conclusively, that another house has to deal with, especially if it's not really a matter that is so witty or touchy that it has margins of errors. And that is why the law is clear, even though they're seeking to do amendments, that issues that have to do with the county governments, and then the impeaching of the president, the presidency, is directly on the senators. We have bills that normally we have to have concurrence with the Senate, which is a good thing, because we normally have the input. But on the issues like vetting, it's the same issues that will come up, whether it's in the Senate, whether it's in the National Assembly, and that, unless we say that one house is not able to deal with these issues, because they are no more common issues that are known. And by the way, if today they were doing a vetting, maybe in the Senate, and have an input from the National Assembly, I have a way of communicating that, either through the Speaker or through the Chairman of the committee, and my views can be taken up. So let them not sit back and say it in the National Assembly, and I have an issue on this gentleman, and I can keep. If the public is doing it, it definitely means it's even easy.
Can I input something very quickly on that? Very quickly. Just to explain my thoughts very quickly is that you see, the reason why we have a bicameral house, one, the Senate is premised on the concept of bringing about egalitarianism, equality regionally. And that is why you find the county of Lamu in the Senate with only 2 constituencies, and the county of Kiambu with 12 constituencies has got an equal vote to bring that balance. In the National Assembly, where they are, that is the majoritarian representation of the whatever, and of the system, and to balance, because also the Constitution requires that appointments also have got to satisfy regional, ethnic, and other balances that are required. The reason why it would be sensible to subject those appointments to both houses is because if in the majoritarian representation of a democracy, the part that is supposed to bring about equality or egalitarianism is missed, then it will be found in the other. And we borrowed heavily from the American Constitution. You know, when we are doing our own constitution, if you look at most of the appointments, they go through both houses. You know, and the process of vetting is not a process that should take a month or two or involve millions of shillings, you know, as a process. But to bring that satisfaction, and remember how my colleague here started when he was talking about the appointment of Dr. Njoroge, because they wanted to bring somebody from a certain community. Now, to take away that thinking, even from the ordinary Kenyan, you must go through that system.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. We need to take a break because I don't want us to start another story.
That in the U.S. most of the appointments go through both houses. In fact, in the U.S. most of the appointments just go through the Senate.
Yeah, they start from the Senate. Most of the major ones.
Yes. Not go beyond that.
Okay. I want us now to take a short break, and when we return, we'll discuss this. We'll start with this matter in Siaya, where the Governor Colonel Rasanga has put his image on exam papers that are being sat for in schools. And after that, we'll discuss a lot more. So let's take a break.